Toy Story has been a childhood favorite of mine. One of my earliest, fondest childhood memories with the Toy Story series was with the original Toy Story, because even though I wasn't born around the time that the original Toy Story came out in 1995, I did grow up watching Toy Story constantly on VHS. I used to own the original Toy Story VHS from 1996, and I would watch it to death, and that's what made me got into the Toy Story series. And I still love Toy Story to this very day. And one of the things that I always wanted was a Sheriff Woody doll. Because one of my first... Because I've seen many Toy Story merchandise in the toy stores before. And I remember used to playing around with this Woody doll at like some sort of daycare or preschool. But it wasn't too long until I was able to get that same Woody that that the preschool had, and it was the Toy Story and Beyond Woody from Hasbro. And I must say, I mean, like nowadays, I don't think he really holds up, but like back in the day, I mean, he was all I really had, and I played with him. The only problem was that he didn't have like a functional pull string like like the one at the daycare preschool did. But in addition to that Woody, since I think it did eventually broke, I did get a second Woody that was similar to that one. It's from the same series, but actually like had like a functioning like pull string, with the voice box and everything. It came in a 2-pack with Jessie, and that was like after I got into Toy Story 2. So unfortunately, all those childhood Woodies I have no longer exist. But because I didn't have any like Woodies, it wasn't until the Christmas of 2009 or 2010, around the time that Toy Story 3 came out, was when the Toy Story Collection Woody came out. And even though I was sort of in a phase at the time where I was into Buzz a little bit more, I was really happy, that I got that Woody. Since he was probably the nicest looking Woody, that I ever gotten so far. Well, ever since I got my original first Woody doll, the one thing I noticed was, one, the pull string ring was so huge when in the movie it was really small, and not to mention that his face in the movie, whenever he's in toy mode, he always has like this closed smile. But in every other Woody I had, he's either like open mouth smile or like teeth grinning smile, and I could never find one that had that closed smile. Like, it wasn't until 2019 when Thinkway Toys released a soft huggable Woody plush that had an accurate, closed smile face. So what I am decided to do in this video was to make my ultimate dream Woody doll. Basically what I did was I took a couple Woody dolls and Frankensteined them pretty much, to make the perfect, mostly movie accurate Woody doll. The reason why, the words movie accurate is not in the title of this video is just because, I mean, it's not going to be exactly movie accurate. I'll point that out later, but for the most part, I just wanted a Woody that looked the closest to the movie, like as close as possible. So I'm gonna be mostly showing you pictures of of my work in progresses. I didn't make any videos for the most part, except for like one. I just wanted to make sure, when I'm customizing my Woody, I gotta make sure I do it right. So I thought that was more important than capturing the footage of me modifying the Woody. I might show footage from other YouTubers that have shown their progresses on video. If I do, I'll add the title of the video as well as like the YouTube channel. So if you ever see any footage that like isn't mine, you'll see the video's title and the YouTube channel that uploaded the video like on the bottom, in case if you want to go check those videos out, which I highly recommend you do. Also, I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite Toy Story YouTubers, Today I Grew Up. Now, he's done many Toy Story like mods, to make things as movie accurate as possible. Obviously, I'm not trying to be completely movie accurate, but I want something that looks a lot more like the movie. He definitely tries to get close to movie accuracy as possible, and a lot of his customs are fantastic. So I definitely recommend you check out his channel and maybe subscribe to it. If you love Toy Story or, you know, Sonic or Home Alone, please check out his videos. They're amazing. But anyways, onto the project. So overall, there were 3 Woody dolls that I used. On the left, we have the 2018 Disney Store Woody doll. He's pretty similar to the Disney Store Woody dolls that you can get today, which I've done a review a long time ago. Except the only difference is that he has Andy on the bottom, his head sculpt is different, and not to mention that the voice box has over 30 phrases, and instead of just having lines from Toy Story 4, he has lines from like traditional Woody's Roundup voice lines and all that stuff. Originally, my idea for the mod was to initially get the soft huggable Woody head and just put it on the Disney Store body, and that was my original intention. Since I do have the Toy Story 4 Disney Store Woody, you know, from 2019. But when I noticed some of the inaccuracies that the Disney Store Woody has, especially since now when I made my review on the Disney Store Woody a while ago, I kind of said, you know, it was the most accurate Woody we've gotten, and I liked it more than the Toy Story Collection Woody. But I kind of regret saying that, because I don't think the Disney Store Woodies are as good as the Toy Story Collection Woody. I also miscalled the Toy Story Collection Woody the Signature Collection Woody, since the Woody I have is not from Signature. It's actually from the original Toy Story Collection. More on that later. And so yeah, not to mention that the 2019 Woody doll that I have had the Toy Story 4 voice boxes, which aren't bad or anything. I just wanted, you know, more traditional phrases for my ultimate Woody doll. I think the reason why I kind of roasted the Collection Woody unfairly was just because it just wasn't in the best condition, like, at the time. I mean, obviously, like most of his shirt, was pretty clean. I mean, the pants are clean. I mean, I did took care of this Woody for the most part. I think the reason why I kind of unfairly roasted him was just because, like, his buttons were scratched up, and not to mention that his holster was broken. I mean, I don't know why his holster broke. I did took really good care of that Toy Story Collection Woody doll, but for some reason, you know, that holster broke. But anyway, speaking of Toy Story Collection Woody, in the middle we have the Toy Story Collection Woody. And so that one I also used for this mod, because he's probably one of the most accurate looking Woody dolls, you know, in terms of like something from a toy company. I know there's like the Medicom Woody that's like $500, $600, but honestly, in terms of something that most people might most likely afford, I think the Toy Story Collection Woody is pretty good. I mean, obviously nowadays he goes for crazy expensive, but sometimes people, like parents who are selling off like childhood toys for, like, you know that they gave to their kids years ago, sometimes they don't try to look up their true value, and sometimes they'll list a collection or signature collection Woody for like dirt cheap. So if you can find one for a good price, I definitely recommend you get the Toy Story Collection Woody, either for modding or you know, for just overall having. Because if you don't feel like modding your Woody doll, I mean, the Collection Woody by himself is a pretty great Woody, in my honest opinion. So for the 2018 Disney Store Woody, I decided to use the voice box and the hands. The reason why I wanted the 2018 Disney Store Woody's as hands and not like use the 2019 Disney Store Woody hands is that I think the colors on the 2018 hands are a bit closer, you know, like to Woody's skin color, like on the soft huggable plush. It's not quite like the same flesh color, but it is a bit closer. Because for some reason, the 2019 Disney Store Woody, for some reason his skin was a little tan. I'm not sure why, but for some reason it just was. So yeah, so for the 2018 Disney Store Woody, I used the hands and the voice box. For the Toy Story Collection Woody, I mainly used the body as the base. So besides like the hands and the head, most of what I modified, like most of the parts were from the Toy Story Collection Woody that I used for the mod project. And then on the right, it is the soft huggable Woody plush from Thinkway Toys, the same company that made the original Woodies from 1995 and the Toy Story Collection Woody. And obviously I only wanted to get it just for the head because it had that closed smile that I've been wanting for years. And it's so weird how Thinkway Toys, like they had all these like Woodies that have like different facial expressions that aren't exactly like the movie, yet for some reason they made like this very cheap $20 like Woody plush, but the face closely resembled the movie more. I know his left eyebrow is slightly raised, but I kind of don't mind that. I think it kind of gives him a bit more personality. I mostly was more concerned with the closed smile, not really much of the eyebrows, so it didn't really matter for me. So the first thing I did was repaint the holster, which was already broken, so it made it a bit easier for me to paint and all that. I do plan on cutting the jewel and replacing it with like a real one, but that wasn't my plans at the time. So I just repainted the jewel this brighter gloss red color, and I painted the gold part of the holster like this gloss yellow, you know, to be a bit more accurate. Because the problem, as great as the Toy Story Collection Woody was, for some reason the belt buckle, the spurs, and the ribbon part of the holster, they were painted gold, even though they are supposed to be like this yellow, sometimes even like palish color. But for some reason, Thinkway decided to go with the gold color, and I'm not sure why. So I decided to paint the gold on the holster yellow, and I mean, it's not my best paint work, but it is pretty good for what it is. And then I took like a 2 weeks break since I'm gonna be like in Texas on vacation. So after that I took a break, but when I got back home, I decided to continue work. And so in case if you're wondering what paint I used for the holster, the belt buckle, and the spurs, I used this set of Testors acrylic paint. If you find the paint jars from Testors separately, they're gonna be enamel. But I think acrylic works best with the type of material that the holster, the belt buckle, and the spurs were. So I bought this set of Testors acrylic paint and used the gloss red and the gloss yellow, and they stuck on there pretty well. And so yeah, so if you're gonna be painting, you know, the gold part on your collection Woody, then I definitely recommend you get that paint set. But with the sheriff badge, I know the sheriff badge isn't quite movie accurate, but since I wasn't willing, you know, to fork over like money for a 3D printed badge, maybe I might do that later. Who knows? I decided to just use the existing badge on the Toy Story Collection Woody and basically paint it, you know, a much brighter gold color. And the one I used is called like model color. I wasn't really a fan of that gold color. Not because of the color itself. It's just it used glitter, and every time I touch it, it kind of got glitter on my hands. So, and I still haven't even finished on the badge. But hopefully, when I make a part 2, I'll finish the badge. I promise. So yeah. So that paint was hard for me. I had to use like multiple layers of this gold paint, and the problem was that even though the Testors acrylic paint took like 24 hours, you know, like for it to fully dry, the model colors gold paint took like 48 hours, you know, for it to fully dry. And so yeah, I wasn't really a fan of that paint color, but I'll talk more about the sheriff badge later. The next thing I did was I took the hands off of the 2018 Disney Store Woody. I didn't take the voice box yet. That will be much later. I took out the hands. It's very easy. Like, all you just have to do is just find the zip ties. because what keeps the head and the hands like secure are actually zip ties. So if you cut the zip ties and take them off, you'll be able to remove them easily without breaking anything. And if you want to put any like new hands or a new head on, you can always just get some new zip ties and just zip it again. The hands on the Woody that I bought did have like a few scratches, so I did use Swiss Army knife, to lightly like get rid of some of the scratches. I did eventually took the head off of the soft and huggable Woody plush. I took the head off, and then like just for practice, I put the 2018 Disney Store Woody's head on the soft huggable plush, and used like a zip. The zip tie I used was a little too big, but since I'm mostly gonna be like using this Woody to like move around and throw at occasionally, it didn't really need to look completely perfect. I did added some hairlines on the 2018 Disney Store Woody for practice, because initially I was going to add hairlines to my Woody, but since he's gonna be mostly wearing his hat, I decided not to. Maybe in the future, if my painting skills ever gets any better, maybe I could add hairlines, but for now I'm just gonna keep him solid brown. But anyways, back to the pictures. So now it's time for me to take the Toy Story Collection's head off and his voice box off. And yeah, it wasn't too difficult, but I did it. I took not only did I took the head and the voice box off, I also took off the buttons. So yeah, so here's my Toy Story Collection Woody doll. The whole body so far. I still kind of feel bad about like disassembling my Toy Story Collection Woody, because the Toy Story Collection Woody that I had was actually the original cloud pattern Woody, with the real denim jeans. And out of all the Woodies from the Toy Story Collection Signature Collection series, the original Woody with the denim jeans is the rarest and most sought after Woody. It's definitely the most expensive of the collection Woodies out there, but even though I still feel kind of bad about modding that particular Woody, at least it was for a good cause, since I'm modifying this super rare Woody, to make it more like the movie, and in the end it was worth it, so don't worry. So after I was done, I decided to take off the belt buckle. And basically how I did it was I cut a bit of the insides of the Woody doll so I can get to the belt buckle. And basically it was connected to a washer, and I didn't know what to do. I decided to remove the pegs from the belt buckle. And it wasn't the best, and after doing that I was able to take off the belt buckle. And even after like I was done painting it and putting the belt buckle back on, and put the washer, even when I put everything back, the belt buckle, even though it doesn't have the pegs anymore, that belt buckle like stayed on the washer, so I must have been like pretty lucky. I also repainted the part that was connecting to the holster. Basically I used that Tester's acrylic paint set. I repainted the belt buckle this yellow gloss, and I also repainted the part that connected to the holster a metallic silver color. So pretty much the same color, but just making it look more brand new and shiny. So I wasn't a fan of the model colors as gold paint, but the Tester's gloss yellow paint was no better. And it's not really the fault of the paint itself, it's just the fact that like yellow paint is kind of hard to really, like unless if you like use like a certain tactic, it'll take a while, like for you to like fully paint the, thing yellow. I mean, for gold it wasn't too bad, but I think if it was for something like black or blue, I think it would be a lot worse. But the belt buckle, like once it was finished fully painting after like so many uses of the layers, it was harder for me, like to fully paint the belt buckle than it was for the Spurs and the holster, since the belt buckle has like so many details that it was just really hard for me to like, I mean, it took hours, like letting like the paint dry and all that. I had to watch like Toy Story 2, like just to wait. I watched like Toy Story 2 like a couple minutes, and then like went back to work, and then like watched Toy Story 2 again like while it was drying. but it was worth it. I mean, the paint sticked on, which was good, and when I put it back inside Woody with the washer and everything, it's still stuck to there. It wasn't loose or anything. I did use the seam cutters to cut the badge off and the buttons, but instead of using those plastic buttons, I decided to buy some really high quality pearled buttons on Amazon, and they were like $7. It comes in like this little plastic case, and it comes with like these like pearlized buttons, and I try to make sure they were lined up exactly like they were in the movies, mainly Toy Story 1. So basically what you would have to do is take the pearl button and stick it into the place where you want it to be sticked, and then with a flathead screwdriver or some kind of like metal, like on the insides, use your flathead screwdriver to push like these 5 sharp pins down, and then once you do that, they'll stay on. And the final results looked amazing. I'm definitely gonna keep some in case if I want to use them for other Woody dolls, or if I ever want to do an ultimate Jessie mod. So along that, I also wanted to repaint the Spurs from gold, to that same gloss yellow. I'm not sure if they needed to be gloss, but I'm okay with the yellow being gloss. So not sure how accurate it is into the movie, but the color seemed about right. So here was the left Spur again, but I was able to paint the Spurs enough to seek my satisfaction. So here is the Spurg on the left boot, fully done. Doesn't look too bad. It's not my best paintwork. I mean, there were a little bit of flubs here or there, but nothing too bad. I mean, especially since you're going to be looking at these Spurs from like a faraway view. I mean, and they don't look too bad. So here was the body so far. And just for the record, I did put the Disney Store hands on the collection Woody, and they look fantastic. And I took this picture like before I finished painting the Spur on his right boot. So the very next day, I painted the Spurgs on the right boot. Again, it wasn't the best, but at least I was doing slightly better than on the other Spurg. And overall, I was pretty satisfied with it. And basically what I did to prevent my doll from getting any, unwanted paint, I taped the paper together and I just stick the doll inside. And so yeah, so here are the Spurgs fully painted. So yeah, so painting the Spurgs was both easy and hard. Easy because since they don't have as much detail as the belt buckle, it was a lot easier for me to apply some layers. But hard because I try to make sure not to get any paint, like any unwanted paint on the boots, especially in the corners where the Spurgs are supposed to be connected to the boots. And so yeah, but they do look pretty nice. I mean, alternatively, you can just buy like a generic Woody doll, that has like yellow Spurgs. But since I didn't want to buy any more Woodies, and not to mention, that the collection boots have like more detail, I decided, I'm going to just repaint those collection boots. And so yeah, so here's what the body looked like with the Spurs fully painted on both boots. And I did eventually use some Sharpie and wrote Andy on it. I actually did write Andy on the bottom of the boot, like back in the day, but unfortunately it didn't look quite like the Andy signature from the Toy Story films, and it was also on the left boot. It should be on the right boot. So before I even did the mod, I did took like some alcohol and took out, the Andy that was on the bottom of the left boot, and so now it doesn't have the Andy on it anymore. And I did write Andy on the correct boot, and I tried to make sure it looked closely to the film as possible. And I also glued the holster back onto the belt. Eventually, I do want to take that jewel off and replace it with like an actual like real red jewel. When I make part 2, I'm definitely going to be like doing that and taking pictures and all that. So stay tuned. And obviously, I took the Disney Store 2018 voice box and put it inside the Toy Story Collection Woody. I actually forgot to mention the 2018 Disney Store voice box and what the sayings are. It has over like 30 phrases, and this voice box has pretty much all of the voice lines. So here are all of the phrases that the 2018 Disney Store Woody says.
You gotta keep your eyes peeled for bandits. Reach for the sky. You're my favorite deputy. Somebody's poisoned the water hole. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Gotcha! Ha ha ha! Hey, howdy, hey! Giddy up! Ride like the wind, Bullseye! I'd like to join your posse, boys, but first I'm gonna sing a little song. There's a snake in my boot. Hello! I'm Sheriff Woody, but you can just call me Woody. I'm part of the Roundup Gang with Jesse, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete. We keep the Wild West safe from bandits and varmints of all shapes and sizes. You've got a friend in me, pal. Hey, wanna go to a roundup? It'll be fun. Well, pull my string. Ha ha ho! Howdy, partner. Hey, howdy, hey. Hello. Yee-haw! Come on, let's saddle up for adventure. Giddy up, partner. We gotta get this wagon train a-moving. Watch it. Wait. I'm ticklish, okay? Oh, give me a home where the buffalo and the deer and the antelope play. Yes, sir. This here's the finest little town in the West. Rustler's on the range. Let's ride. Never fear. Sheriff Woody's here. Time to ride off into the sunset, partner. How about the two of us mosey through town and see if we can spot any trouble?
I even had a small pull string ring that I got at Hobby Lobby. It's called the Zoology, and basically they sell these plastic rings in multiple sizes, and I try to make sure I got the ones that were the right size. You know, they were supposed to be this certain small size, and they're supposed to be a lot thinner. I know Today I Grew Up does sell his own like pull string rings on his website for like $4. He ships it directly to you. So if you don't want to buy any like plastic rings, I mean, alternatively you can buy them on his website. They're probably a bit more movie accurate than the ones I bought, but again, I wasn't trying to make it 100% movie accurate. I just wanted to look more like the movie. So for the most part, I was done with the body. Now it was time for me to put the head back on. So of course I have the head of the soft huggable Woody plush. I also have the hat from the Toy Story Collection Woody. And then I also had the bandana from the 2018 Disney Store Woody. I decided to use that instead of the collection bandana because I think the Disney Store Woodies have more accurate bandanas, or at least they look nicer in my opinion. And then I also have like the small zip tie, but unfortunately it wasn't long enough. So I had to use like a slightly bigger black zip tie, and that's what I used, to put Woody's head back on. Of course, there's like a little nub, but I put it on the back, and with the bandana, it probably wouldn't be that noticeable. Here was the soft huggable Woody plush on the Toy Story Collection body, and I must say, it looks much more like the film. So here's my work in progress. I still didn't put the sheriff badge back on because I'm gonna be finishing that up in part 2. And so yeah, so far I was pretty satisfied. But unfortunately, since the Disney Store voice boxes are much smaller and thinner than that huge Toy Story Collection voice box, I did add some extra stuffing from the Disney Store Woody and placed it on top of the inside, so that way the top area of Woody's torso would look stuffed. So yeah, I know the collection Woody hat has like holes on the back, and I could modify them, but I don't know, besides replacing the cloth thread on the hat, I don't think I want to mess with these holes, because I feel like that's just something I don't think I might be able to do, at least as well. So after I was done, I decided to paint the sheriff badge again, with that mediocre gold color. And then I decided to add some rubber feet on the inside of Woody's hat, both on the front and the back. So that way, when I put the hat on Woody's head, it'll go into a more natural, more movie accurate direction, like here. Because the problem with the Toy Story collection Woody's hat is that Thinkway made the inside of the hat a little bit too big. So with these rubber feet attached, the hat placement will be a lot more accurate to the movie. I'm still a little bit concerned, that these rubber feet might scratch the paint off, but that hasn't happened yet. Again, stay tuned for part 2 because I definitely want to replace the ruby on the holster with, with a real jewel. And I also want to get some round leather thread for the hat, make it more true to the film. And also see what I could do with the sheriff badge. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.